Hi, stamping friends. It's Marilyn here with Stamping Creations with Marilyn, joining you tonight to share some stamping with designer paper and some punches. I have a few cards to show you, one to stamp with you, and trying to figure out this new system to see if it's going to work. We'll just try and see if things are progressing. There we are. Yes, it is. So, welcome, welcome. So nice to see you here with me tonight. And as I mentioned, it's Marilyn with Stamping Creations with Marilyn, coming to you live on Thursday night. Going to share some stamping with some punches, some designer paper, and just a couple of tricks that I've learned along the way with working with punches. So I will turn you down to my camera, and that will be easier for you to follow with me. And I have a couple other things to share with you there, and then we'll get started. So here we are with my work surface, and I have a hostess code, just a bit of a word on ordering online using a hostess code. It is the last few days of the current catalog. New one will be out on June 3rd, and I will be doing a presentation about 3 o'clock on the 3rd, showing you some of the new items I have and kind of a catalog walkthrough to show you some of the great things that are coming in this new catalog. If you don't have one and you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator, and I can get a catalog to you. I am waiting for them to come because unfortunately I ordered French ones instead of English, so I only have French ones here. If you would like a French one, I can certainly help you out with that one. Just let me know. And also you'll see on my desk here before we get started, I want to remind you again that I am part of the Stampin' Staycation that is happening on June 13th with a couple other demonstrator friends. We are doing an online event for the day from 9 o'clock in the morning till we're thinking probably about 4. There will be a presentation every hour. We don't expect you to stamp with us. We just expect you to sit back and enjoy. And then we will be posting our Facebook Live that we do to demonstrate, as well as we will be sending you PDFs on all the projects that we are doing. So a great value for $47. So this is where you can sign up for it. And as well, I am giving away one admittance to the class for anyone. I'm going to put it in a draw, put your name in a draw if you share my videos between last week and June 9th. So I'm trying to do 2 a week, the Facebook Lives, and so you have 2 already on there and tonight. So if you will share, I'd really appreciate it, and helps get the word out. Anywhere in the world can join, so if you have friends that live in England or somewhere in the States or anywhere else, they can certainly join by, again, going to that website. We'd love to have you, and we're going to have a big fun day. There will be challenges at the end of each of the projects so that you can use your own products, make the project, and share a picture. And we will do some draws for those at the end of the next week. So you have a week to do that. It's not a rush today and get it done kind of thing. So just bring that to your attention. I will mention it again towards the end of tonight. So in your instructions for today, I had asked you to bring a regular cardstock piece, 8.5 by 5.5, a layer, 5.25 by 4, which will be your next layer, a layer 5 by 3 3/4, which is your next. And I didn't ask you to bring, but I have, and I'm going to show you what I do with my envelopes. So I have an envelope there. So I mentioned stamping on designer paper, and I don't know, I'm on a mission to use up my designer paper this week because there's lots in the new catalog that I would like to use. So I don't know how many of you realize that you can stamp on designer paper and it gives you another whole realm of samples to use. So I'm just going to show you a couple things here with this one, and then I'm going to make a card using this stamp set, which is a different one and a different punch again, because I mentioned bringing a punch. So I want to show you a couple things with the punch. So on this particular one, it is from the Timeless Tulips, and you can see there's a variety of them. But when you get to the tulips, when you get to the punch, there are two pieces that will punch out. And one trick that I've learned with this kind of stamping, punching, and because I hate wasting paper, if you make yourself a template, which I did here, then if you lay it down and you place your stamps right in there, and they have a, if you can see, a lip on the edge, so therefore they do fit right into where that punch was, the punched out area is. Then you can pick them up with your block, and you know that those are going to be in the exact placement you need them to use that punch. So for this one, I'm just using the Gorgeous Grape because I wanted a dark color. These particular stamps, again, do the shading for you, so a great set, and this one is carried over. So then when you go to punch it, as you can see, it matches perfectly. You punch it out and you have virtually no waste. So that trick I have carried over to use in my Vase Builder punch set that I am going to use tonight for the card I'm going to make. So I'm hoping that you have a punch or designer paper you want to cut in a certain way or whatever that you can share with me afterwards. So on this particular one, I have a punch that punches out the vases. It's called a Vase Builder punch. It goes with this stamp set, Varied Vases, Varied Vases, and the Vibrant Vases. Both of these stamp sets are going to be discontinued when the catalog retires on the 2nd. So if you're interested in them, now would be the time to get them. So I have in my stamp case for this one, I have kept a number of the templates. And you can see, started out, this was the wrong one, so don't use that one. But the rest of them you would have placed this way, so that when you go to punch them, they would be that way. So that's just a tip that I've learned along the way, obviously from another demonstrator, I'm sure. But for tonight's case, I am just going to build the card and punch out designer paper with it. So I would start by my base card. I would fold it in half, and I find that if I do my scoring on my piercing mat, it does seem to hold the crease a little bit better because there's that little bit of cushion in it. So see how it doesn't flop up when you lay it down in? So that would be my first step. And I am going to, this card will be landscape mode because I have the Stamparatus set up to stamp with it. My layer that's behind, because I've picked a color that goes with my designer paper, and it is Mango Melody, and it can be attached. But before I do that, I'm going to do my stamping. I really urge my customers to always do all of their stamping before they do any gluing, just in case you have to turn the paper over. And that's a voice of experience speaking. So the Stamparatus is a positioner. I have it set up from earlier when I was using it. And like this card, which I guess I could lay about there and maybe you can see it, I'm going to stamp the ledge. Then I'm going to stamp two-step stamping for the flowers using the Mango Melody. And then I will piece the punched out pieces that I have over top of it. So the Stamparatus comes with places for 2 plates. So I have the early espresso that I'm going to use for the ledge. And it's going to be placed there. Because it's photopolymer, I like to hold it for just a bit. And if it isn't dark enough, you could always do it again. And then I have my words on the other plate. So I'm going to, sorry, I'm busy jiggling the table, to stamp them using the second plate. So you can see how the positioner really helps you with placing your colors. Now that looks good to me. If it wasn't dark enough, I do have a lighter card I'll show you towards the end that I did stamp twice because it wasn't quite dark enough. So you could have gone ahead and stamped all the flowers using that as well. I didn't because I wanted them in different places and was trying things. So I will put my Stamparatus aside for now and go ahead and use my piercing mat as the base. I'm going to stamp the first level of the two-step stamping with Mossy Meadow, a green. And what I was doing with them was I lined them up along the ledge and then what's this one next? My little flower pots that I punched out of the designer paper fit over the stem. So really it's a quick and easy card. And another way, it's not using a lot of designer paper. I'll be the first to admit that I didn't get rid of much of my stash with it. So that is my green, because to me, flower stems are green. And then, because I'm kind of a keep it all together when I'm stamping things, I like to do the Mango Melody color I'm going to do for the flowers for the second step. So two-step stamping means they line up, and with photopolymer, and with me while I try not to shake, you can look straight down, and Stampin' Up does such a great job of lining the two stamps up. If I can do the same, it would be great. And they all, well, if you turn the right way, they do all fit together. And even if they didn't, like that one, it's not a huge problem because you kind of get the gist of what it should be. So those I will clean up later. So then I have already taken the liberty of punching some of this designer paper out, and I have, oops, that's a different one. I have 2 different pieces of that paper. So, isn't that interesting? They look all the same. Just look at the back of it, then I would know. Those 2 and that one, and then these 3 are from a different set. So because it is all from the same package, I can certainly mix and match. I don't like that pop of red on that one, and it's a bit high. There. And I don't have red on the third one. interesting. So again, all different kinds of designer paper. You can have different vases. You could have all three different sizes. And like I say, those are the ones that I punched out of this particular punch. The punch is being carried forward, which I thought was just a little unusual, but obviously there are things like this that you could do with it where you don't need to have the stamped images. So these stamped images all do punch out as well as the ones in this one. So maybe I haven't studied the catalog to see if there are some others. And I'm just going to try not to get too much glue on that one. So I'm going to place these just on the shelf and over the flower stand. And like I say, because it's all from the same designer paper, you can certainly see that it coordinates well enough to put on this card, even though it's not this original one that I had thought I would. But that's the joys of making the cards, is you can change your mind like that along the way. So I will put my card together. Snail. On Snail, it is retiring in this catalog, in case you haven't heard. And it is being replaced with Seal, S-E-A-L, and a Seal Plus, which is similar to the Fast Views that we had a couple years ago. Okay, dimensionals. So I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. So if you're in need of snail refills, now would be the time to look at getting those as well, because they are discontinued as of June 2nd, which is coming quick. It's next week already. So that would be your quick and easy card. Now, I was looking at that earlier thinking that perhaps it needed a rhinestone or something on it, but I think for this case, I do believe that the colors just make it pop, and that's the way I'm going to leave it. So for the envelope, I've been receiving some of these in the mail, and they are gorgeous to have your mail come, and it's got a piece of designer paper in the back like that. So I have been doing quite a bit of this with the cards I'm making as well. So just some liquid glue, because you've got a little bit of wiggle room with it. Place your designer paper. And I do use the silicone mat underneath it so that I'm not squishing glue out all over my work surface. Once it's on, it's a matter of taking the paper snips, just trimming around. So that piece was 6 inches wide and 2 1/4 the depth of it to cover the flap on these envelopes. If you're doing a pointed envelope, I call it, for the other ones, I'm not sure what size it would be, because these are what I happen to have right at the moment. So there would be your card. So I'm sorry I can't see comments happening, but I will go back to them afterwards and certainly answer any questions you have there or comments. I hope that you are commenting. I hope that you will share. And like I say, anybody that shares does get their name in a draw for attending this online creative retreat that we have. So that's the card that I made. This is one I made earlier, and a couple others. This is the one that I mentioned to you was lighter in color. It's the pretty pink. So this ink is lighter, and I was able to stamp it twice using the Stamparatus. And then this particular one, again, all four of them are done with a different designer paper. Like I said, trying to use up my designer paper. And this one is done with greens, with the mint green. So yeah, maybe the flowers, you don't have green flowers, but I kind of like the monochromatic cards that I can get out of that. So hopefully that has helped give you some ideas on punches, how to use punches, and you will take those punches you have in your stock and make good use of them. So I'm going to switch you back now for a quick hello there. A quick nice to see you. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you will let me know if you have any questions or if there's any techniques or designs, questions, anything like that that you have. I would love to be able to answer. So again, please share my video, share my posts, and hopefully we will see you at Stamping Staycation or around on Facebook Live whenever we can, and we will just keep enjoying card making together. Take care now. Bye.